How many categories can you use to grade an owner?
How much they spend, how they spend it, community relations and engagement, running a team, wins and losses, stadium deals.
Outreach in the community. That's a passing grade. The success on the field. Hey, guess what? Since he took over, they started winning. You have to give him plus for that. The other two categories, bro, get out of my classroom.
Yeah.
I'm calling your parents because the red pen is not working for you. You're not listening in class. You're being disruptive. You're bullying other kids. I gotta send you home. That's not even an F. That's an F- on the stadium deal, right?
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this will be our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
And it's spring training time, so go ahead, grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by, you know it, FanDuel. Today's episode, hey, guess what? Go to FanDuel.com, get $200 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Pretty simple, Kev. Are you going to do that today?
Absolutely. I always do it, especially on a FanDuel live read day. It is a Friday, but why not? Let's go ahead and get into a couple mailbag questions from the audience out there. Before we do that, I do have a mailbag question of my own that I wanted to ask you during the last episode, but we ran out of time. And just a hypothetical, I'm sure we could react more once the team is ultimately sold. There will be a day when that happens, whether it's within the next couple months or 20 years from now. There will be a new ownership group for the Tampa Bay Rays or whatever they're called. But when it's all said and done, when Stu relinquishes the team, if you were to grade him as an owner from day one to the end of his tenure, what would that better grade be in comparison to how other professional sports team owners operate?
That's a really good question. That is a tremendous question, Kev. It's tough because, how many categories can you use to grade an owner? Money they spend.
Yeah, how much they spend, how they spend it,
right?
Community relations and engagement,
right?
Running a team, wins and losses,
right?
I would think stadium deals. Yes, I would think those are kind of the main topics that we could value somebody on.
So let's start. So for community outreach, like and Locked On Rays daily listeners know, and OGs, I participate in volunteer work for Buddy Baseball. The Rays are a sponsor for Buddy Baseball. I know that they are in the community, mostly in St. Pete, but Buddy Baseball is in Tampa, is in Hillsborough County. So I particularly don't have anything bad to say about how they've outreached in the community. So that's a passing grade. The success on the field. Hey, guess what? Since he took over, they started winning. I know maybe not immediately, but a couple years into it is basically immediately in terms of sports, right? So there, not only a passing grade, I think that's a plus. That's a plus grade, especially given the division, the rivals, the psyche that you have to change. That's good.
The
front
market,
office hires,
the payroll constraints compared to the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Exactly. So you have to give them plus for that. The other two categories, bro, get out of my classroom.
Yeah.
I'm calling your parents because the red pen is not working for you. You're not listening in class. You're being disruptive. You're bullying other kids. I gotta send you home. That's not even an F. That's an F- on the stadium deal, right? And for spending money, bro, no. Like you get another F-. So ultimately, what happens? You have to average it out. So a couple Fs with a B+ in community outreach, with an A+ in field success. I think he ends up having a passing grade. C's get degrees kind of thing.
So satisfactory, barely.
Satisfactory.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I mean, if there wasn't all this nonsense of late, and he actually went through with bringing money to the table and getting a new stadium, shovels in the ground, and we have this beautiful structure and this beautiful district in St. Petersburg, I'd be willing to give him a B+, and maybe you spend more money based on that. But yeah, I'm kind of with you at this point, because as much hate he's gotten this late, of late, deserved a lot of it. We also can't discount the fact that this has been a winning baseball team for the majority of his years, and he and the people that he assembled around the team totally transformed the culture from a losing culture. Are they ever going to win? Are they going to win more than 70 games in a season, to going to World Series and making the playoffs, and winning as many games as some of the blue chip franchises out there? I mean, if you look at the numbers and look at how many wins that they've garnered over the last 10, 15 years, it's, top 5, top 7, top 10 in all of baseball, which is saying something. So yeah, I just wanted to bring up that, as a little fun question. So
I love that question. And I think maybe people should chime in on the comments right now on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button right before you comment, and then hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, please.
And taking everything into perspective, I know there's some recency bias involved.
I know. And that's why I think what we try to do here is pull out the negatives and highlight the positives. I think that's what our aim is always on this podcast. We're not seal clappers over here. There's other places where you can get that. And they're good at clapping like seals. We're not going to do that. We're going to focus on the positives, and we're also going to call out the negatives. I love what you said there about if the hypothetical. Look, Kev, if this hurricane doesn't happen and Stu signs that deal for the stadium, there is no reason why you don't give that man an A-.
Right. Yeah, he'd have his ticker tape parade.
He community outreach, passing. You have on-field success, A+. You get a stadium deal, A-. That could transform a whole bleeping region. Yes, that's an A+. So yeah, you didn't spend as much money as we would have liked, as we would have hoped. Yeah, okay, you give him an F, but still, I don't care.
Yeah,
A- for him. This attitude since the hurricane and all that, you're lucky that you have the on-field success and the community outreach to kind of float you by a passing grade, because the other two Fs are stinky.
He didn't show up for the final exam. That's a 0.
Basically,
just a couple of assignments at the end. He must have killed it in the first half of that semester, and then the wheels came off, and somehow he's
senioritis. So senioritis is what happened. And you know what? That doesn't have to happen to you when you use FanDuel. Senioritis does not hit you, okay? Because March Madness is here, folks. And FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the net. So today, go to FanDuel.com, maybe DM Kev Weiss on Twitter, on X, say, hey, what do you got? Who do you got? And then either take his advice or don't take his advice and go to FanDuel.com, okay? And get that money. Get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Again, that's FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
I've actually made so much money on FanDuel lately. I might be able to buy the team. I might need a couple more wins on FanDuel, but it's getting pretty close. Got to be honest with you.
Heard it here first. Locked on Race. What should we call the stadium? By the way, you buying the stadium, I'm already co-owning this ish.
There we go.
What are we calling the new stadium? Who are we calling?
Weiss Field. I don't know. Got to think of something.
Weiss
that has
Field
my name on it.
Entertainment.
I'm not going to sell the stadium name rights. It's going to be named after me.
Oh God, that's classy. Yeah.
Yes. Gotta. Hey, I put up all the money.
Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
Why not?
Steinbrenner Field, Weiss Field. That's what I'm going for. Kevin Weiss Stadium at Stu Sternberg Field. That probably will be in the ownership change agreement. Is that like some part of the stadium has to be marqueed for Stu? Of like, this is the Sternberg Concession Hall. I don't know.
He could have gotten a statue, man.
Yeah.
If he made this deal happen, he could have made it. He could have gotten a statue. He could have been beloved.
Yeah, but then he
had it right there.
He saw the statue of Dwayne Wade. He's like, maybe I don't need a statue after all that.
Exactly. That's what happened. Yeah.
I'm cashing out on that one. All right. Legitimate question from the audience out there. Jay Ardell says, will we see Carson Williams, Tre Morgan, and Chandler Simpson starting this year? So I guess he means, will we see Williams, Morgan, and Chandler Simpson? I guess all three of those in the majors at some point this season.
Get starts? No. I'm sorry. I don't believe so. J. Ardell comedy. I don't believe that we will see the three of them. I believe we will see Chandler Simpson start more than a handful of games. I do believe that.
And I would say he'd be the first one to get called up out of all three of those guys.
Yes, definitely. Simpson is going to get called before Tre or Carson. I don't see Tre or Carson being impactful players for 2025. No. Unless the team is urging due to injuries or the team is urging because they blew it up and they traded a lot of players and they're like, okay, let's see what the young guys have.
Hey, Yandy Diaz, you're gone. Brandon Lau, you're gone. Somebody else, you're gone. Let's play some prospects and see who can hack it. But yeah, I really see that. I think that's the only scenario whereas Chandler Simpson, I think he's more major league ready. Well, let me put it like this. I think Carson Williams probably has the highest ceiling of all those guys, but I think there's still some major concerns about his swing and miss and how that's going to translate or not translate to the big league level. Tre Morgan, I know he's only played like 20 games at AA, but I could see him being a fast riser and getting into the bigs pretty quickly and being a solid player. Not an all-star, but a solid player. I think he is such a well-rounded game, and he did play for a national championship level program in LSU. So I don't know if he needs a whole bunch of reps more so at AA and AAA compared to these other guys. But Chandler Simpson, I think, based on his unique skill set and what he's able to do, he could probably, be on the call in May or June, depending on how the outfield shakes out. But Williams and Morgan, I think you'd have to wait a little bit more. Really for Tre, I don't even think there's a spot for him at this point because he's only a first baseman. So again, unless things implode and Yandy Diaz is gone and somebody else is gone, then maybe that opens a lane. Now 2026,
Right.
then you could certainly see all three of these guys.
Yes. Yeah. 2026, I could see all these guys. Now with Tre, they've tried him in the outfield and left field. That could be a thing, but like Klosky said the other day, his glove plays so well at first base. Like it's incredible. His defensive prowess. So there's also a question there, right? Like, okay, so he is hopefully should be a solid player offensively, and he already has the glove. What do you do with the guy that could mash 30, 40 home runs and plays first base with Xavier Isaac?
Yeah.
That's gonna what are you just going to move a 23-year-old to a DH role? You probably wouldn't. So are you going to then move Tre to left field, and now you're wasting his defensive skills out there in left instead of you using them for first? Or do you go, hey, Xavier,
Yeah.
go shack some balls there in left field, and let's pretend can we hide you out there?
Yeah.
It's a fun problem to have because those two players should have bats, should have some offense. And that's really not a normal issue that the Rays have.
Right. And I think, going to Carson Williams real quickly, one of the reasons that they signed Ha-Seong Kim was because they need a shortstop that can contribute immediately, at least in 2025 and hopefully in 2026. And I don't know, to me, say Carson Williams is chomping at the bit and ready for the call. I find it hard to believe that you'd move your highest paid player from shortstop to second. So
I don't see it.
Maybe that's where a trade gets worked out. So I think for 2025, that's Kim's spot.
Yeah,
He's good. And then who knows, maybe he backs out of the option and, tries to get more money in free agency, and then you open a lane for Carson. But I think that told the tale right there is we need some help at that position, and Carson Williams is by no means ready to step into that role right now, because you don't want to call him up before he's ready, just like all these guys. You don't want to do that.
I was thinking in my head, it would be nice for Carson to be next to a shortstop who's been there, done that, even gone through free agency and learn. And it would be really cool for Kim to be that guy for Carson. The issue is if you do that, like let's say you trade Taylor Walls mid-season, you can call up Carson, and now he's the backup for Ha-Seong Kim just to try to keep him healthy. The issue with that is, although you're getting the learning and him taking him under his wing and all that, which is incredibly valuable, then you're not giving regular at-bats to Carson.
Right. And that's what you're going to have to do, because we've seen a time in before where guy gets called up and he's not playing enough and he just can't get adjusted to major league pitching or the style of play or the speed of the game. And that's where it just takes experience like anything else for that.
There's two guys literally in this active roster who have had this happen, and maybe this year will be different.
Yeah.
Jonathan Aranda and Curtis Mead. They've had that issue happen to them for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to do the same thing to Carson, or are you kind of going to treat him like Junior and say, when we bring you up, this is yours to take. This is yours to have, actually, not even to take. This is yours to have. And let's see what you got.
Yeah. Let's be a little bit patient on the prospects. I know we like to get excited and chomp at the bit. And there's also a considerable point that not all three of these guys ultimately work out. I mean, they could be traded within a couple of years. How many times do we talk about Vidal Brujan and so many others of the
Kyle
like?
Manzardo, friend of the pod.
Mm-hmm. Right. Correct. All right. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell the audience something very important, and that is Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Here's the thing. Monarch Money, it isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop managing your money and start building wealth. That is so important. I'm going to repeat it again. You stop just managing your money and start building wealth with Monarch Money. So go ahead. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right. Final mailbag question of the show. It comes from our buddy Robbie. Robbie says, the Rays are one of the few teams that do not have a jersey sponsor for the 2025 season. What are your all's thoughts?
Well, thank you, Robbie, for sending that in. I think the Rays right now have, and it's counterintuitive, but they've got bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah.
And
they might want to wait until a new ownership group, or the new ownership group, if they're in negotiations, they're saying, hey, let's hold fort on this patch deal because we might have something kicking with one of our partners. You never know.
Right. So I think it might not happen this year. And I'm saying it's counterintuitive because, hey, those patches would give you money. What does Stu need? Money. But I don't think they right now they can focus on that. I mean, and it's not like them that it's not Stu calling people, like, obviously. But I think that's right now not on their priority list. And it's really odd, really. I would have thought the Rays would have cashed in by now.
Yeah, take anything. Hey, we'll take $100,000 and some bubble gum just to get a couple extra dollars for this stadium.
I mean, the Yankees got it, and there was a whole, uproar about you're damaging our sacred pinstripes with star insurance.
Before you know it, they're growing out their beards.
Growing out their beards. The Yankees are growing up as a franchise. Isn't that cute? The other teams that don't have any sponsored jersey patches for this year so far are the Nationals, the Mariners, the White Sox, the Rockies, the Athletics, and the Twins. Kevin, not to be mean to any of these other teams and franchises that are alongside the Rays, but I do feel like the Rays are the odd man out in on-field success with these other franchises.
Yes. And it doesn't surprise me in the least that a team such as the A's or the White Sox presently, nobody wants to be advertising with some of those franchises and what they have going on. But yeah, it does appear that the Rays would be the odd man out. I mean, a successful franchise for as long as they've been, you would think somebody would step up to the table. I mean, the Rays do have a number of corporate sponsors.
Right.
And I guess they're just waiting for the right price. I mean, there's hospitals out there. There's banks out there. There's Publix out there. Heck, there's a Wawa in every corner now. It'd be ironic if Wawa signed up with the Rays and not the Phillies. I would have thought that would have been more of a Phillies thing. But it'll eventually happen. And if you don't like it, you're eventually going to have to deal with it, because anything that these teams will do to get an extra buck, they're going to try to leverage. Now it's just a matter of who that's going to be. Maybe it's a kill two birds with one stone. If the new stadium has naming rights, maybe that company also has the rights to the jersey patch. We'll just have to see on that.
God, wouldn't have Tropicana have been like, hey, we also want you on our,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really surprised that the Rays haven't had, especially because the other teams are like, ooh, on-field success, not there. The Rays are. And it's also like TV market. The Rays have a pretty huge TV market. I think they're in the top dozen cities in MLB. So
that's some of the best visibility. That's better than a billboard at the stadium, because everybody watching on TV, they're going to see that patch.
And guess what?
One of their players.
Zooming in on replays, slow-mo, every time that somebody's up to bat, that patch is going to be visible. Interviews, all of that. It's crazy how the Rays haven't had that, but I guess the The offers haven't been to their liking
Yeah.
yet, or maybe I mean, it would be very difficult to assume that nobody has approached them. Like, I don't believe that. They've been approached. They just probably haven't liked the offer.
Yeah, I think I mean, just based on what other teams have for their patches, there's a common theme of like gas stations / convenience stores / grocery stores, telecommunications companies, cars, investment companies. That's about who you're playing with right now. Those are your options. So if they can find one of those in the Tampa Bay area, then they're golden. So, you know, yeah, I'm not that concerned about it at this point. I'm concerned about other things, like who's going to own the team and where the team is going to be playing 5 years from now. But yeah,
Gosh,
that's what we have.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, heck, even the Marlins have ADT. You know, they got something. I mean, I would say the Rays had to have been approached. They're just not happy with the offer.
I think so too. I think so too. Let's leave it at that. By the way, we had baseball trivia Name That War program, but we'll just have to keep it for next time because those were all really good questions and we didn't want to leave them out. So we'll just have to owe you guys baseball trivia Name That War.
Of course. On that note, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you